everybody, this is Dianne from the land of the feathered dinosaurs.
I don't know what that means, but this is your zombified 30-something Brian, and it's pretty dang nice out this week.
So it's rainy here, and we got chickens, and I've got to tell you, the person who helped me get my chickens said, you just have to remember that they're feathered dinosaurs, which is super true. When you watch them, they're hilarious. And she said, what's a chicken's favorite food?
Dirt.
Chicken.
Chicken. Yeah, they're little cannibalistic bastards.
Yeah, they're weird-ass little dudes.
Did you cut their beaks off?
No, I've just got like 6 hens, and I'm hoping for some eggs. So
Gotcha.
You know, and I realized when we were chit-chatting last week, I forgot to say that we are podcasting Fear the Walking Dead right now, even though this is Biters. Welcome to Biters.
Yes. Yeah. What are we doing? I don't know.
We didn't mention, I think, the name of Fear once during last week's podcast.
Did we need to?
Well, you know, just in case somebody came in from another planet or something.
Gotcha.
So this week we are podcasting Season 2, Episode 10 of Fear the Walking Dead, which was called Do Not Disturb.
Dun, dun, dun. And you kind of already knew where this was going once you... Yep, the signs.
Well, you know, and I kind of didn't clue in because I wasn't the most attentive watcher to the last 2 episodes. As I said, you know, just in my overall kind of meh reaction to them. But clued in pretty quickly. And yeah, I think it's definitely a nod to Elena, the hotel manager, and the signs. But the other thing is, and I always like to try to dig a little deeper. I think it might have to do with the whole idea of don't disturb the subterranean stuff that's in people's psyches. Like, you really don't want to know what's going on in Chris's little head.
No, he is a little sadistic turd.
He's a sociopath.
He is Carl. Before it really got underway, Carl was right there too. Don't forget.
but I think Carl has come back to us in some ways, and I'm not sure Chris will. But we're getting way ahead because we're definitely going to talk about this.
Yes.
So, just a real quick look, the numbers for last week's Los Muertos, 3.66 million viewers on the same day, which is pretty consistent with the week before. So it's kind of holding its own at those numbers. How did you rate this episode?
I gave this episode a 4 neck breaks out of 5.
You know, we're pretty close. I gave it 4 shotguns in the barn out of 5.
Yeah. Same scene, different things.
Oh, that's funny.
One is the cause, one is the effect.
Yep. So, I just thought real quick I would hit on author, director, and we haven't done a featured cast member in a while, and I was kind of inspired because I actually really liked this episode. And
Sure.
Guys, I was telling Brian before we started recording, this is the episode of Fear I have been waiting for a season and a half.
For a season and a half. The whole season and a half.
Yeah. I mean, truly, at the end, my heart was pounding. My palms were a little sweaty. I was kind of like, whoa, holy crap, what's going to happen? And then I have the funniest thing to tell you. My DVR stopped recording. I missed like the last 30 seconds of the episode, and I was freaking out trying to download it on iTunes, which I never thought I would pay for an episode of Fear on iTunes. Went to AMC, tried to get on there and look at it, and then it turned out that when I recorded The Talking Dead, it picked up the last few minutes of Fear, so I was able to watch it. But it was that good. I was bummed that I was gonna potentially miss the ending. So, anyway.
Nailed it.
I liked it a lot. It was really good. Anyway, so our author was a woman named Lauren Signorino. I hope I'm saying her name right. She doesn't have a ton of stuff out there. She was a writer for Flight 462. She's got writer credits for this episode, obviously. And then she's worked as a miscellaneous crew member on Fear the Walking Dead and Hell on Wheels, which I've said before I think is a really great series. So she's got a lot of time with AMC, but I didn't see much in her biography beyond that. And then the director is a guy named Michael McDonough. He's got a bunch of movies I've never heard of. He was the cinematographer for those. Winter's Bone, Starred Up, Albert Nobbs. Any of those ring a bell to you?
Not at all.
He's got cinematography credits for 10 episodes of Fear. He's actually got a cinematography credit for Downton Abbey, which is pretty cool. I like that show. And then he's got director credits for this and Flight 462. So it looks like they really pulled from Flight 462 for this episode. I thought I would make our featured cast member Chris.
Yeah. So
Chris is played by a young man. He's 23. I think of anybody under 30 as a baby anymore. So Chris is a baby. He was born in Phoenix, Arizona, and his name is Lorenzo James Henry. He has Fear to his credit. He's got a movie called Almost Kings, which I heard was really good, but I didn't ever see it. And then
no idea.
Turns out he had a bit part in J.J. Abrams' reboot of Star Trek in 2009.
Really?
Yeah, he was the Vulcan bully.
When they were kids.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So he's pretty new to the screen, and I actually think that although he was really terrifying in this episode, this was really my favorite piece of work that he's done in the series so far. I think he really came into his own.
Yeah, I genuinely enjoyed it. I mean, it was nice. It had a good pace to it. It had rhyme and reason for things happening, and it gave you enough of the episode. It wasn't, really dull by any means, because there was always something kind of happening. Frustrating like hell, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But there was always things happening.
Well, and it wasn't walking, we're walking. But I also felt like he kind of came into his own as a character, as an actor. He was so calm, cool, collected, and so flat. Flat in a way that someone who is truly a sociopath is really flat and not really moved by anything.
Yep, just no emotions except for anger.
Yeah. Yeah, and lust. I mean, lust and envy, because you could kind of see that when he was talking with the America Bros in the truck. Anyway, the only other thing I wanted to say about Chris, his older brother David Henry was on How I Met Your Mother. So,
interesting.
So he comes from an acting family, apparently. So, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I like how this went. It was different. It was fun. It was challenging. It made you think about what was really going on. Are there hidden motives here? What's going on in this family? What's the game here? What's the play? And I think that theme tied in with a whole bunch of different people and a bunch of different points in the storyline.
Absolutely. Bunch of different settings. So why don't we just launch right into it? What was your epic?
My epic was the fact that, where did my notes go? I'm pulling those. I'm doing like a noob thing here. My epic was actually just Chris being a little prick. I mean, he was being that point of where you can see Travis trying to give him rhyme and reason. He's trying to teach him, and he's trying to make real educated decisions, things that we long for in the Walking Dead universe, and saying, come on, just think it through. Think about it. Just, we long for that. But now that it's actually happening, Chris is just completely like, nope, don't care. Why do we want to sit and hunker down? Because he's thinking about that long game of like, okay, we make a place for home, then what?
Right.
He's 16, 17 years old. So you mean we're going to sit here by ourselves on a farm in the middle of Mexico?
Right.
No. I want to go where people are, because he wants to get back to life where Travis is saying, no, we need to go lay low for a long time.
So I actually had the same epic and one more, but I'll hold off on that for a second because I really want to spend some time talking about Chris's trajectory and just the whole Chris-Travis interchange. I thought it was so great. And I thought, yeah, these two really carried this episode. I also thought Alicia and Elena did too. I thought that there were two really great parallel stories going on, but I would have been fine just watching the Chris-Travis interchange. It was that good.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there.
Go ahead.
Nope.
There was a moment like when when Travis pulled the car over and told Chris was going to teach him to drive, there was this sadness in Travis's eyes, and I thought, this is so well acted and so poignant, because what this person is really thinking as a person, not as an actor, not as a character, was, this is not the way I imagined this going. You know, this was not when this dad was going to teach his son how to drive. This was not how this was going to go down.
Right. That's actually a really good point, because it is supposed to be a big milestone in a life, you know, but you're trying to do the best you can. You're trying to make things work. And then at the end of the day, it was just this completely lost situation. And it's one of those moments in life where, just like you said, he could see he was a little sad, because that's not how it was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with you. I felt like throughout that Travis was really trying to be a teacher. He was really trying to impart the skills for surviving in this new world to Chris. I did think it was interesting that Travis exposed his belief that, quote, they're out there working on this. He still thinks that somehow we're going to return to pre-zombie apocalypse. He thinks that somehow this is all going to be solved. And Chris scoffed at him and was like, really? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I love the challenge. You know, just it is that teaching and trying, but Chris always coming back and challenging. And that's one of my favorite ones, when I always hear someone, well, they said that every $20 bill has a trace of cocaine on it. You know, just stuff
right,
like that.
Right.
Okay, who's they? Who's they?
Yeah.
Well, they. And what do you mean, who's working on it? Nobody's working on it. This is the end of the world, period. Plain and simple. I just love that. There was never a father-son bond moment.
Right. Although Travis was trying.
Well, I would say, except for just as they're hanging out around the campfire, passing the food back and forth, the beans.
When they're talking about Liza.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you notice they didn't talk about Madison. They didn't talk about Alicia. They talked about Liza, and they reminisced about time spent with Liza. The only time Madison came up was when Chris was like, you're just trying to circle and stay close and keep me distracted so you think I get through this, and then you'll go back to Madison.
Yeah, I definitely think that was a piece of it.
I thought that was really astute on Chris's part, because I think it's true.
Well, yeah, I think that's definitely what Travis was trying to do, is he was trying to keep it close and keep it handy. Mm-hmm. And he knew if he brought up Madison and the others, Chris would run. That's why he ran in the first place. And he even said, I can't go back. I'm never going back. We can't do that. And that was Travis's hidden objective. And Chris called him out on it. And I think that's kind of where they're at in their relationship.
Mm-hmm. And, go ahead.
I would say he's just being that little prick of a 16-year-old kid.
Well, and so the other thing is with the ending, and I'm sure we're going to talk more about how it ended, but I saw this complete loss of hope in Travis. And I felt like his refusal to take Chris's hand, I think Chris is lost. I don't think Chris is Carl with the ability to come back to us. I think Chris is lost. Yes.
And I think that the moment when he chose not to take his hand, it's huge. It's impactful. That was the whole point of it, is that he realizes that this kid's gone. I should have went the other way.
So I wonder, will he leave Chris and go back to Madison? Will Chris get killed and make it convenient for him to go back to Madison?
I was hoping Travis was going to get killed.
Oh, really? So I kind of figured, honestly, that one of the two was going to get killed. I was very surprised that both of them survived this episode.
Well, what I want to happen, and it's never going to happen, is just that Travis dies and they never hear from him again. Because that's what would really happen.
Right. We talked about that last week.
You know, it's just that component where I think the show can be different and never go back and just kill this storyline, sever it. You they do that, and Chris starts to get mad at his dad, and then, the kids kind of keep leaching poison onto Chris, and then when Chris isn't looking, the other guys kind of kill the dad, and hey, your dad split. He left.
Or what would be even worse would be if Chris just so completely became a part of this gang that they all killed Travis off, and that's the last we hear of that. He just gets absorbed into that gang of marauders, and they go on.
Yep, and they just go on because they'll do it because they killed that Mexican couple.
I sense a bold prediction.
Well, I wasn't going to go down the bold prediction. I have a better bold prediction.
I know, you told me you were saving it.
Yes. So that's just what I would like to happen. Will they? No. And it sucks that they're eventually going to get back. One of them will eventually get back to Madison in some way, shape, or form.
I don't think both of them are going to get back to Madison.
No, one of them will.
I think that the other thing that it could possibly be very powerful and really move this story forward would be if, in fact, they did kill Travis and then Chris somehow comes back to Madison and Alicia and that group.
They just run into him at the hotel or something. That would be cool.
Yeah. That would
be where's
really
Travis?
Cool.
And they're like, oh, yeah, he didn't make it.
Yeah. Then that also clears the way for the seducer of people to take over that space in Madison's life.
Funny.
So the other thing that I had in my epic, so this cold open is seriously one of the best cold opens ever. I gave it a 5 zombified fathers out of the bride, out of 5 zombified fathers out of the bride.
We could
5 out of 5, man.
We could not be on farther ends of the spectrum.
So let me tell you why I loved it, and then you can rebut.
Okay.
So I loved it because it was totally not part of our main character's story, but it was a part of the story of what happens when the apocalypse starts. And yeah,
okay.
I did think
so I'll give you that component. I'll give you that of that kind of reality on what people are doing. So it's not like you just wake up one day and say, oh, today is the apocalypse, here we go.
Right.
It's real and happens. And it was cool to see at their point in their life when it happened. Same way, where were you when 9/11 hit?
Right.
I can tell you who, what, where, why, when, and everybody I was sitting in the room with in my barracks.
Me too.
In Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Same kind of conversations are going to happen. Where were you when it all went down?
Yeah.
I was at a wedding party, and the father of the bride was dancing, had a heart attack, and died there, and then he bit her face off.
Now I will
she was trying to give him CPR.
I will give you that was predictable, which is fine. I mean, I was there, I was right there with that, but it pulled me in a way that nothing else has pulled me in this series so far, because it was completely not part of our main characters. And it was a story in and of itself, and I was interested in where that story was going.
Yep. So I'll give you that one.
And it ultimately yielded a new character for us with a really, really challenging past. I mean, now we've got this woman, and we know what she's done. And just like we've got characters in episode 1 of this proper series who, we find out at some point through history that Irony Singleton shares about T-Dog. Yeah, he went out and got his church's van and was evacuating people with the church van. We didn't see it. We don't really know that it's part of the story. This woman, we know her story. We know that she was the manager. We know that she was kind of trying to keep things happening while this wedding was going on, and she made the decision to lock the wedding party away, and they were all killed.
Well, and so to kind of go off that, it was nice to see Alicia kind of be like, yeah, okay.
I loved when she
contain the problem.
I loved when she said, "We've seen worse and we've done worse." It was kind of like a benediction from Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. And I take back that the whole wedding party got killed because the mother of the bride survived. We saw her.
Yeah. And
I'm pretty sure the groom. I think the guy who was holding...
he was the groom. Yep.
Yeah, the guy who was holding Hector hostage, he was the groom.
Yeah,
okay.
They are my fail.
They're your fail. Okay, so we might as well move on to fail because the cold open and then the trajectory of Travis and Chris, those were my epics. And it sounds like Chris was your epic. So have your fail, man.
My fail was the whole like game of cat and mouse. Like I get it in my head, but the part that really got me, like if it was really like, no, they're here, we're trying to kill each other at this point. I get it. But the motives were very unclear as what the remaining wedding party wanted. They wanted the keys.
Oh,
but why do you want the keys?
I think they also wanted Hector and Elena dead because they blame them for the death of the wedding party.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw.
So why didn't you just kill him? Why didn't you just strategically hunt them down? Why are you holding him hostage to get the keys? That doesn't make sense. So I don't think they're okay with killing. I think they just want the keys for there's some objective with the keys. But it was that whole conversation where they're standing in front of this room full of walkers behind them.
Right, there is that.
And you're like, okay, I know what are we doing? Just give them the keys. Just give them the keys. We're going to open this door and let them get eaten. Just give them the keys. So that was really kind of my fail. They needed to explain more about the keys. The keys are a labyrinth. The keys are everything to this place. But
go ahead.
Why? But why? Like, I get it, but why? Why does everybody want these keys? Is there like a Lamborghini or like a zombie monster truck down the bottom that you'll be able to drive out of forever? It just doesn't make sense why so much is put on the keys. Because if you wanted the keys, why didn't you just hunt them down and kill them?
So there were two things about the hotel as a character that I really liked, because I think it was kind of a character in and of itself. Mm-hmm. Elena said, "This is a maze and I can run this." And I think that is why the keys are so important, because she has control of the setting when she has those keys, and she can open and close off the walkers, or the wasted, as the American guys called them. I like that introduction of that new term. So I think it's a way for her to kind of control the flow of the dead, and obviously the guests that are still living. The other thing is that the hotel as a character, she talks about how she's has not left the top floor of the hotel since the apocalypse started. And I think it's really interesting when you think about people who work in third world countries who are workers at those kinds of big resorts. That is their home. And in some ways, that's the only thing that they know. And I kind of feel like that was Elena's truth.
Yeah, I definitely agree there.
So I don't think I answered your keys question, but it just kind of brought up something interesting for me.
No, it is. And I agree with the hotel being a character. That's a cool way of thinking of it. But why are the keys important?
Yeah, I think it's just because they allow control of the environment.
Just leave.
Do they think maybe that they're safe there if they have control over the environment? Do you think that's what it is?
I'm wondering if some key zombies are locked in a room somewhere, and they want to.
Survivors.
Well, I'm thinking they want to kill their own. They want to get to the bride and the father of the groom
and kill them and put them down.
And put them down, maybe something like that. Because why else? I mean, there has to be to control a hotel. Okay, great, just leave. So you guys have been here for a while. Just leave.
The other thing, though, that I think about just leave is it makes sense for the people who are indigenous to the area. So Elena and Hector and the people who work in the hotel, it makes sense for them to just leave because they probably have families and homes somewhere near the hotel. But the people who are tourists who've flown in, just leave for them is a terrifying idea because they don't know what's out there. And maybe
it's been months.
I know, but maybe they think if they can clear the whole hotel and have access to the hotel and the resources in the hotel, that it somehow is some sort of safe environment for them.
I don't think we're done with the reason of the keys.
Well, I don't
think we're done with this.
I don't think we're done with the hotel, obviously. Because basically what I got, at least when my DVR cut off and picked up, was... they charge in and they do find Madison. I saw Madison. I did not see Strand. I did not see Ophelia.
Strand was in the background.
Was he? Okay. Again, didn't get a great glimpse of the full end because of the way that my recording cut off.
Ophelia was not.
So, I know we're not done. And I think, obviously, Elena is going to become an important character, at least for a little while. We may end up with the bride, or with the groom and the mother of the bride as characters, too. So I think you're right. I think there's a lot more to be explored and, for lack of a better term, opened up in this hotel.
All right, what's your fail?
So my fail is the decision to trust the American guys. I just think that I'm not quite sure why Travis went along with it. I guess maybe he was trying to bond with and placate Chris, but it was so obvious from the energy that those guys radiated that they were maybe not even bad guys, but just guys who weren't in it for anything other than themselves. They're not interested in helping other survivors. They're not interested in making sure that people survive. They just want to go and maraud. It kind of felt like a Mad Max scene,
Yeah, so I kind of debated this one. And I think Travis is wanting to go along with it because he knows if he outright defies them, they're going to kill him.
Okay, I think that's fair. And I didn't go quite that far. I just kind of figured he felt like if he outright defied them, he would somehow have one less way to access Chris. He'd lose points with Chris.
Well, I think this is the reason Travis doesn't want to go near people, because he knows they're clean, they're not dirty, they're well-fed.
Yeah.
And the only way you get those is with bullets.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and that one guy was pretty free brandishing his pistol. So
I think Travis knows that, look, if I just outright was like, nope, hey, we're out of here, they would shoot us in the back.
Yeah.
And I think that's clear cut. I think they want Travis and Chris because they like Chris because he's a killer. They were watching him and, they said, yeah, I was impressed with your moves. And that plays a little bit of naivete on the younger kids because they just went, holy crap, you guys have been surviving with knives.
Right.
They don't even have guns. These guys are awesome. We need them on our team.
Well, and I have to say, on that note, I thought both Chris and Alicia were really brutal and efficient and quiet killers in this episode, and I thought it was good. They both dispatched walkers very easily.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, efficiently, easily, quietly. So I think that bodes well for their survival. So what was your epic fail?
My epic was ending with Madison's face. The last visual I want is
I'm sorry, I just know how much you hate her.
She is my last visual I ever wanted.
Oh my god.
Yeah, not happy. Did not like her one bit. But
so would you have given
that,
it a 4.5 if we hadn't ended with Madison's face?
Maybe. But, so here's my bold prediction with Madison. So this is where it all comes in. Alicia said, while they were on the balcony with the hotel manager, she said, my mom would never leave. My mother would die for me.
Uh-huh.
Madison's face, when she was able to open the door, find her, let her in, and close the door again, was a look of relief, sadness, disappointment, regret, and sorrow. She was leaving.
Oh.
They were leaving. I think we will find out that they were leaving Ophelia and Alicia behind.
Oh my god, that's huge. That's your bold prediction.
That's my bold prediction.
Wow, that's profound. I totally did not read that into it at all. I kind of figured they were just holed up trying to figure out how they were getting out of their mess. Wow, that's good.
I think they wrote him off as dead.
I actually wrote Strand and Madison off as dead, which, I mean, really? I know, like, intellectually, no, they're not going to kill off two big characters like that, but I thought, how could they possibly survive in that horde of zombies, But we often ask ourselves that question in this universe, and somehow there's an answer. I don't know, man. Oh,
So that's it.
God. Well,
That's it.
and the other thing is that while they were having that conversation, my mother would never leave me. I think Madison would never leave Nick.
And yep.
I think she's got this really twisted, obligatory relationship to Nick. I don't think she feels that way about Alicia.
I think so. She feels that way about Nick because that's how she lost her husband. So that's why she feels this attachment to Nick, who probably looks like her old husband, her deceased husband. Mm-hmm. So that's why she has this, and she spent all these years comforting and coddling and trying to make Nick better, while she inadvertently became less connected with Alicia. Mm-hmm. Because if you remember in the very beginning, Alicia was never at home. She was never on. She was always just gone hanging out with, young little weirdos. So that's kind of how I see that playing. And when she said, "My mom's never going to leave me, she would die for me," and I'm thinking, maybe she will. And then when it all came down and I seen that look on her face, all I could think of was she was leaving.
So, it's interesting that you bring that up because from my perspective as a healthcare provider, when you're dealing with a family that's got a chronically ill child and there are, say, 2 or 3 other children in the family, you often see that chronically ill child takes up so much energy and so much of the family's attention that the other kids are kind of lost kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the dynamic between Madison, Nick, and Alicia.
Yepers.
Well,
it's happening.
I'm going to tell you really honestly, I didn't have an epic fail because I was just so happy that this was such a good episode. I wasn't shopping on my phone. I wasn't thinking, oh, I should pick up my knitting and knit while I'm watching this. No, I was watching and I was taking notes and I was excited.
Yeah, it was, all in all, it was really good, but I'm not going to wait another season and a half for a really good episode.
I know you said that before we got started, and I was like, way to burst my bubble, man.
Yeah, so let's review it and see. It was a good episode. It had a lot of cool stuff in it, and it had a lot of quick hits in it, and it had some deeper storylines. I think it was a good time to kind of break from Nick's storyline to go back to here. I've always hated the 3 separate storylines running, but they seem to kind of flow together.
They did a nice job with the 2 in one show. Yep.
Yeah, so it kind of felt like the Nick and Travis and Madison, it just felt like it was taking place in 2 different buildings rather than 2 parts of the country.
Kind of story.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so what's that smudge on your shoe, man?
Oh, that's a rotten potpourri.
So what you got?
One of mine is Alicia was kind of frustrating in the beginning. Mm-hmm. So when she was counting the walkers, she counted them walking one way. Those were her first 5 marks.
Oh, I wondered why she was transecting her marks. Okay, that makes sense.
So she counted them going one way, then she counted them coming back. So that's how that was playing out, and she got her hair all nice tightened back, and she got her boots all laced up, and I'm like, yeah, this is Alicia's solo kill time. This is going to be awesome. She's going to take these 5 down the hallway, and she is methodically going to find her way and save Ophelia. Here it is. Here we go. She's going to go room to room, and she's going to find Ophelia, and she's going to do it. And then she never did it, got scared, and jumped in an elevator. I'm like, you literally got your war paint on, and then it washed away in your tears, and you ran away. At the first sight, here's the 5 you're waiting for as they're coming down, and you're like, oh no, I better run the other way. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? So I was a little frustrated with that.
Okay, so 2 things about that. One, when she jumped into the elevator shaft, I was like, way to go. Now you've got zombies who drop to the bottom of the elevator shaft who are going to get up and move and kill you if you go that way. And you've got zombies above you if somehow you have the upper body strength to crawl back up those chains and get out onto the floor that you just left from. So
Did you notice in the elevator scene that the zombies were breaking traditional zombie university things from a la Greg Nicotero?
no, tell me.
They were holding on to the elevator and leaning over to get her instead of walking right off of it.
Yeah, because they wouldn't have been conscious of, we could potentially fall. We better hang on and try to grab her that way. They would have just been grabbing for her.
They would have just walked right into her.
Good one.
And I'm just like, oh, you broke a rule.
So
they were kind of leaning over the edge, reaching out to get her, when they should have just walked right into the pit.
Right. Absolutely.
And it would have been cool, like, as if they were walking into the pit and, like, one reached and, like, got his hand stuck in her, like, pants or something, and then, like, ripped his fingers off, so she has this, like, zombie hand, like, down her pants or something. That would have been pretty funny.
The Thing makes a guest star appearance in Fear the
That's
Walking
right.
Dead. So the other thing just about the zombies that were walking around the hotel, and this was actually when Alicia and Elena were making their way through the hotel, it was kind of depressing to see that old lady zombie in her maid's uniform. I thought, oh, sorry, Rob. I'm looking at the time there. That's not how I want to die. I don't want to die in the zombie apocalypse in my uniform at work and have that be my sad end.
Yeah. So there's always this running joke of, people who say, I don't care what I wear. I don't care what I'm wearing. I'm just going to Walmart or Target or whatever. Nah, be careful what you are wearing. Always dress sharp, because if you die, those are your ghost clothes, and you can't change your ghost clothes.
I don't want to be in my gray maid's uniform, man.
Yeah, if you're wearing your ducky pants and a real holy stained shirt, you died. Those are your ghost clothes, and that's how you're going to be forever.
I am going to think about that the next time I do chores at 6 o'clock in the morning in my pajamas. Because it's usually pajamas and then rubber boots.
Yeah, hey, man. You got to be careful. You can be ghost clothes.
That's funny. So this episode taught me that I need to find a synonym for cocky. Because Chris was cocky, the American guys were cocky, so I'm going with overconfident.
Yeah.
And it's always a sign when somebody is overconfident that they're either really dumb or bad.
So I, many people used to refer to that as little man syndrome.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I wrote in quotes, these guys are the big men on campus. Same kind of idea.
I bet you they weren't.
But they thought they were. Now they have the opportunity to be, because just like Daryl, right? I was thinking about it while that kid was talking in the back of the truck. This is our world. We were nothing before, but now we've got the power. Now we can do this. Now we can do that. Yeah, I love that. What did he say? I actually wrote the quote down. The end times made us gods.
So these guys were just little chumps.
Yeah.
They were chump little smart mouth. They weren't these cool badass guys that they are now. And I think that's what they see in Chris. Chris looks at them and says, these guys are my same height, near my same age. He's a little bit younger, so he's the freshman looking up to the seniors. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit younger. They're my same size. We talk about the same stuff. Girls, ha ha ha. These guys are my jam. I look up to these guys. And in reality, they were all just, nerds, or not necessarily that's not a bad thing, but I'm a nerd. But you know what I mean?
Nerds are cool. These guys were like
yeah, now that they got guns, and I think that's why they needed Travis and Chris, because we've got guns and we're able to kill because we can kill with a gun, but we can't fight. We don't know how to do this. We can't do this with our bare hands.
I think that's funny. You really do point out a good contrast, which is that, okay, these guys are chumps. Chris is truly the serial killer in the group. These guys are like the frat boys, and Chris is Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
I mean, they need their swagger and they need their guns. And Chris is like, I'm not swaggering. I'm calm, cool, and collected, and I'm going to put a knife through this zombie's eye.
Mm-hmm. And that's they realize that dude, this kid literally walked up behind, took a knife, buried in the walkers' heads, ran out like it was nothing. This guy's awesome. And then I didn't think he was going to be the one to shoot the farmer. Like, I did not see that coming at all.
I actually expected the farmer to shoot him.
Well, I thought the farmer was going to shoot somebody, and then it was going to be a firefight, but I didn't think it was going to be Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And whoa, lo and behold, I just thought it was funny. Like, he breaks the chicken's neck and then boom.
Okay, and that was an awesome callback to Herschel's barn.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when Patricia was breaking the legs of the chickens or the wings of the chickens and throwing them to the zombies?
Yep.
That was an awesome callback. The other callback, when they were all camped out together after Chris and Travis decided to camp with them that night, they had basically a perimeter strung with tin cans.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that was a callback to Maggie, Bob, and Sasha. And Daryl and Beth.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was like, callbacks.
It was cool stuff. What's your rotten potpourri?
Let's see. Well, I talked about Chris learning how to drive, which I really do think was an incredibly sad moment. I thought that Travis's comment to them about everything's destroyed to the Continental Divide, when they're talking about watching the bombing of LA and kind of watching how things went down, it just made it feel so much more apocalyptic than really, honestly, the original series has ever felt for me. I mean, I know we saw the bombing of Atlanta, and I know that we saw Atlanta as a wasteland later on, but to think about that huge swath of land from the West Coast to the Continental Divide just completely destroyed really kind of brought home the level of apocalypse for me. I don't know that it's true, because we may get out into those lands and find out that what the fellow on that island told Travis and his family isn't true, that we don't have complete destruction. But it was a really good image. It was a good mental image.
Yeah. I was actually expecting some conflict when in those statements where they said, "Oh yeah, where are you from? LA," and they kind of like looked over at Travis, and he could say, "Well, do I tell them or don't I tell them?"
Right.
Yeah, let's tell them. So I was expecting some sort of conflict, like, "No, man, you're full of it. Say it again. Are you lying to me?" And like he pulls his gun out, and
yeah,
I was expecting something like that, but they were just kind of like, "Oh, well, it'll get rebuilt," and I think that shows their own kind of, not necessarily, immaturity isn't the right word, but it is their own immaturity of this world, that, it'll get rebuilt. It's gonna be a long time before it gets rebuilt.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of that, oh well, I was gonna get down, but you know what, we're gonna go kill something tomorrow, so I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I really do feel like they're the Negans, they're the Merles, they're the people who are fine with just drifting from place to place and killing for resources and moving on.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's something that we haven't necessarily seen in this version of The Walking Dead before. So that could add some interest, especially if Chris especially if Chris ends up getting kind of absorbed and sucked away with them. That would be a fitting end for that character, I think.
Yeah, I kind of just wanted to break, and I wanted someone to die.
Yeah. Or someone to just disappear.
Someone just disappear. Are we going to get our first villain next week? Do you think we're going to get an official villain?
I didn't watch the previews, so lay it on me, brother.
No, it's going back to Nick. It's going back to Nick, and it shows him kind of talking to the head guy.
They show the pharmacist again, yeah.
Yeah, it shows him talking to him, and he's like, "No, I was bitten, and I was waiting to die, but I never did." And so it shows him kind of talking, the drug gang's going to be there. But then it also shows Chris crushing up some pills. So
Chris.
We got to be getting him.
It shows Chris crushing up pills?
Nick.
Okay.
Sorry.
So he may be... Maybe he's going to bargain with those banditos who needed the oxys.
Yeah, something's going to happen. I think... I actually wind up thinking that, the pharmacist is going to be the villain.
So what you're telling me is to let go of my glee about this episode being so good because we're going back to Nick's world.
Well, it looks to be a little bit more informative back in Nick's world this time.
Okay. So don't let go of my joy completely.
Yeah. Not completely, but hopefully we'll get a villain here. But not a season-long villain. Hopefully, like, 3-episode villain. Or
at least not a season, not a villain that crosses over into next season. Because we are getting toward the end of this season. This is episode 10. There's, there's 15 in this?
I was going to say 4 or 5 more, I think.
And that makes sense. So 5 more weeks, and then that gets us up to nearly the premiere of Walking Dead proper. Which is...
Dun, dun, dun.
I know. I actually just had one of those adrenaline surge moments, so... Swear to God, it was not a hot flash.
Negan better be done in this season. I swear to God, if Negan crosses over into the next season, I'm going to be mad already. Which did you get the Blu-ray, the profanity-filled Negan scene?
Was it awesome?
No, I haven't done it yet either. Well. I was just going to YouTube it and watch it.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody will YouTube it. They actually. So I had read that in the comic book, and I'd gone back and reread that scene, and they actually did a really good job basically doing that scene without all of the profanity. I mean, it still carried its weight. It just would have, those of us who need to go back and edit out certain F-bombs before we get the podcast to Rob, would have appreciated the profanity-laced one more.
You can if you go out and drop $60 on the series.
I just don't do that anymore.
No, me neither.
Even stuff I love. I mean, this is definitely something I would keep, but now I can just sign on to Netflix and watch it.
That's
sign on to YouTube and watch it. I mean,
now iTunes, that the internet exists, everything is out there for you no matter what.
Yep. So when it all crashes down and the zombie apocalypse happens, we won't be able to impart any of this kind of stuff to the next generation.
That's right.
But I will know how to knit, crochet, and fillet a salmon, so it's all good.
Boom. Nailed it.
Well, I think that's pretty much it for my potpourri. Do you have anything else?
No. It was just nothing really much. I think we did a good job covering this one.
I was pretty happy that we finally had an exciting one to cover. It felt good.
Finally.
Yeah. That sounds terrible, but you know what I mean.
Yep. All right. Well, if you need us, you know how to get a hold of us. Reach out, Facebook. We're always out there. We're always chit-chatting, responding. We appreciate the Thomas and Mara hooking us up with some entertainment while we're trudging through this here. So hopefully about 6 weeks, we'll be watching some real, proper Walking Dead.
Oh, my God. Oh, I have to say just one more thing before we go. So my Eagle Moss collection is growing, the collection of figurines. Yep. And this time I got Beth in her scrubs holding her scissors. And I got season 5 Rick. So you have like season 2-ish, 3-ish Rick is one of the first characters that you get. And it's the classic pose of him in his brown shirt and his cowboy boots pointing his Colt Python straight out. Mm-hmm. So this Rick is Rick in his scruffy leather jacket with his beard and looking quite a bit older with a little more gray in his hair. I love my figurines.
Get them posted.
I will. I need to take some pictures and put them up because they're pretty awesome.
All right. Well, you know where to see the pictures. Have the Facebook group when she gets them posted.
And do not forget, if you think about it, rate us on iTunes. You can send us an email. You can post on Facebook. We would love to hear from you. We know that people are kind of waiting for Walking Dead proper to come back, but thanks for those of you who are still out there listening to us.
All right. And remember, folks, take it one dead day at a time. Meh.
No, that was probably the best we've done.
Yeah. Again. Bye.
All right, man. Have a good week.
See ya.